Working from home is either the greatest, most amazing news ever, or it's the most horrible, terrifying, lonely sounding thing you could think of. Whether you're the first person or the second person, I want to give you some tips today on how to work from home. Most people don't know that I've actually been working from home for 13 years. Whoa. My husband actually joined me working from home 3 years ago. And the interesting part is, I realized the other day that I've kept productivity journals all the way through. And I noticed some interesting patterns. There have been some years where I worked from home like a boss. I did a ton those years. Like, I think in 2017, I published Captivate, I launched People School, and we brought in a new team member, all in that 1 year. Whereas other years, like 2010 and 2013, were just slow years. I looked at my productivity planners and it looked like I got nothing done in those days. And I realized that was because I had taken certain strategies during the good years and missed certain strategies in the others. So years and years of planning later, I bring this video to you to learn from all my patterns, tricks, and tips for working from home. Let's get started. Step number one, knowing your triggers. So what we don't realize is that when we're at home, we have all kinds of triggers that trigger us into productivity or trigger us out of productivity. For example, there was a year where I lost so much productivity simply because I was going up and downstairs all the time. My printer and all my office supplies were downstairs, whereas my desk was in front of a pretty window upstairs. That one change completely changed my productivity because I had lots of reasons to get up from my work, get up from my desk, and go get something. And of course, when you go get something, you stop and get some coffee, maybe you talk to a friend, maybe you decide to watch a little bit of that episode you didn't finish earlier in the day. And so what I want you to think about are, what are all of your triggers that you should remove? So what are things you should take away that distract you? I am not joking when I say you should hide your iPad or your TV remotes at the beginning of the day. If you're working from home, take your TV remotes, take your iPad or your Kindle or any of your devices and hide them. Put them in a locked drawer if you have to. The reason for this is because I have been in the trap of, I'm just going to eat my lunch. I might as well turn on the news. Maybe I'll just watch the last 10 minutes of that episode, and 45 minutes later, I'm watching a TED Talk from 2009 that has no relevance to what I'm doing. So I highly recommend here removing any triggers that you know might catch you off guard during the day. You also want to add or bring in things that will make your productivity better. For example, this is a weird one, but I highly recommend, if you drink a lot of coffee, put a coffee maker in your bathroom or your bedroom. That way it's not all the way in the kitchen. You're not tempted to go have a bunch of snacks at the same time. Or if you know that you eat a lot of snacks, bring your protein bars, your trail mix, your nuts, whatever it is you're snacking on, up to your desk so it's right next to you. This way you're shortening the amount of time between each distraction, so at least you're minimizing the impact of that distraction. This is the key difference between home and work. Work is filled with other work things, things that don't really pull you. Home is filled with home things, things you like to do, like your bed, taking a quick nap, or your couch, watching a quick show, or your dog going for a quick walk, or the dishes that are calling to you because you haven't done them in 3 days. So you have to protect yourself from yourself. Remove your triggers and add in the things that will help you minimize the distractions. Step number 2, punch in and let everyone know about it. So the interesting thing from working from home is your home and your work life tend to blend together. So maybe before you had a really strict morning routine. You got up, you got dressed, you ate breakfast, maybe you got the kids ready, you were out the door by 8:15 and at your desk at 9 a.m. When you're working from home, you might think to yourself, great, it'll be so much easier to get to work. Oh, so not so. Sometimes, even though it's a much shorter commute, in fact, no commute, it's actually harder to get to your desk. That's because your whole morning routine doesn't have as much urgency to it. You don't have to beat a commute. You don't have to walk through the doors at a specific time. but I want you to actually add urgency to your punch in time. Your start time is incredibly important for everyone in your house to know, including you. Otherwise, everything will push it. The dishes you have to get done, maybe starting that load of laundry. Oh, you'll eat breakfast at your desk. Oh, a couple more minutes of that TV show. I should peek at the morning headlines. And then it's 9:15 or 9:45 and you're like, wait, what? How did I start so late? The other thing that happens is you have to think about the end of your day. So if you have kids coming home or people coming home from work or roommates coming in, you might end up stopping a little bit earlier than you thought. So you might want to start earlier. Take into account all the things you have to add into your routine for working from home and the things you get to subtract, like commuting or putting on makeup or getting into a fancy suit or packing your lunch. Take away the things you don't have to do in your commute, you don't have to do in your morning anymore, like your commute, and add in the things that you have to do once you're at home or now that you're working at home. Once you decide you're punching in time, tell everyone. Literally, be like, people, even though I'm in the house, it does not mean that I am not working. 9 a.m., I'm at my desk, headphones on, no one's talking to me, coffee is steaming. Otherwise, everyone will push that time. I promise you, if you don't have a set start time, people will ask you to do just one more thing, and then you're always late. So make sure you punch in and make sure everyone knows it. Step number 3, work your rhythms. I did a lot of research a couple of years ago for our big Science of Productivity post. And one of the things that I was most interested to learn is that we all have different rhythms. Especially, research shows that typically we are most effective the first 2.5 to 4 hours of the day. What I didn't realize is I was losing so much of that good productive time with checking email or doing paperwork or silly tasks at the beginning of the day. One of the biggest benefits of working from home is you can set up your ideal day, and you should specifically think about your rhythms. When are you most productive? Or when is the house the most quiet? That's where you should save your big strategy-related tasks. When are you least productive? When do you most want to take a nap? That's when you should have calls or meetings that keep you accountable. For example, I know that after lunch, that is my worst time. My bed calls to me. I'm like, ooh, just a 20-minute nap. My iPad calls to me. I'm like, just a little bit of a show. It's when my blood sugar is nice and high and I just want to rest with my lunch. So I typically schedule calls for myself at 1, 1:30, 2, and 2:30. Why? If I have a call or a meeting, I know I can't take a nap. And so they keep me accountable. They wake me up. I get some connection. I make some eye contact through video chat, or at least hear some friendly voices with my team. And it always gets me back up. So I get a couple more hours in the afternoon. So know your rhythms and honor them when you're working at home. Those could be a little different from when you're working at work. Step number 4, don't be silly. The weirdest thing about this is I read tons of articles about working from home. And the advice I always hear is get dressed up and do your makeup like you're going to work. Why? Why would you do that? One of the biggest benefits of working from home is you get to be in your pajamas, at least on the bottom. Like I'm in tennis shoes right now. Can you see it? Oh my God, I almost saw my it's too high. I'm in tennis shoes. Can you see I'm in tennis shoes? Oh, so I'm always in tennis shoes or slippers or pajamas on the bottom. And that's one of the great benefits of working from home. So don't be silly and spend an hour doing makeup if no one's going to see you. Don't spend an hour ironing your shirt if no one's going to see your shirt. Now, if that makes you feel good, if that makes you feel productive, then do it. Or if you're going to hop on a video call and you can't use a filter of some kind, sure, throw on some makeup. But give yourself a break. Working from home means you get to cut a few corners, and getting dressed and wearing pajamas is one of them. Step number 5, make a work palace. So one of the things that's hard about working from home is you might not have as big or as nice of a dedicated workspace, but I want you to work at making at least a work palace. Even if you're working on your dining room table or a corner of your kitchen, have a setup that you can bring out that makes you feel like you love your workspace. Sometimes little things really matter here. So I have a little bamboo plant on my desk that makes me feel happy. I have every kind of office supply and post-it note you could possibly imagine. I have all of my little headsets and pretty little dongle coordinator cord holders, and they're all color coded. All those things make me have more productivity because all my stuff is here and they remind me of being organized and productive in my work. So make yourself a work palace. I highly recommend also bringing a couple tools in that make you feel good. For example, I have a Harry Potter wand at my desk, and I swear that waving it makes me feel better about silly emails. I also make sure that I have a gum buffet. I love gum. There's even some science to show that gum makes you more productive. So I have like 15 different types of gum in my desk. All of those things make me happy, make me more productive, and also make me feel like I'm not missing out on some big work environment. Step number 6, leverage your extraversion. So if you're an introvert and you're working from home, amazing. Like fireworks, you struck gold. If you're an ambivert or an extrovert working from home, you might be a little bit nervous and you might have to work at making that social time work for you. So one of the hard parts at working from home, if you're an ambivert or an extrovert, I'm an ambivert, which means I can switch into introversion or extroversion when I need it, but I do need a little bit of social time. It means you're going to have to work at getting the social time you need. So I highly recommend adding social time purposefully into your schedule. So because I work from home, I make sure that I have at least 2 friend dates a week. These can be colleagues of mine or people I mastermind with, or just friends that I want to go hiking with or go to coffee with or go to a movie with. And then I also, of course, have family time and partner time every day. That's what I need as an ambivert. I know that I need at least some family time every day. I know that I need at least 2 social moments or social time appointments every single week. That stocks my social battery. The question you have to ask yourself is, how much social time does your social battery need? If you're an introvert, it might be just 1 activity per week. If you're an extrovert, it might mean that you're going to go out every day to a workout class or a happy hour or a meetup or a networking event or a class. That means that you are recharging your social battery proactively. What I really want to be sure of, to all my people watching, is you don't get burnt out by not having connection. The biggest mistake I see people make when they're working from home is they figure, oh, I'll get social time eventually, or I'm sure I'll end up seeing people. And then 5 days later, they haven't left their house, haven't changed out of their pajamas, and have only ordered food and delivery. And they go a little bit crazy. So make sure you build in a little bit of that social time, just enough to recharge your social batteries. Step number 7, the last one, is to punch out. Just like you punch in at the beginning of the day, you also want to punch out at the end of the day. I will say it is super tempting when your computer is at home, all your work stuff at home, is to have your work time bleed into your personal time, or to hear that ding from the other room and be like, what is that email, and go check it, or to work after hours, or to have that takeaway from family or personal time. So it's really important that you have a solid end time. Just like you leave work, you leave work at home as well. And what's really crucial about this is to shut down your computer, turn off your work email, turn off your work phone if you can. Because if you hear those dings, you're going to be curious about checking it. I even like to put my computer away, completely away, so I don't see it when I'm having family time. Just like you make your punch in time known, make your punch out time known as well. Tell people when you're clocking out and then schedule things. Go out for a walk, go to a class, start making dinner. That will make it much easier to have a little bit of transition time from your work time to your personal time. I hope these work at home tips help. I know more and more these days people are working from home to stay germ-free, to have more productivity, to be more with their family, but you have to make it work for you. There have definitely been years where I've lost time to my work at home strategies. And then there are years where I feel like I kill my productivity because I put systems in place. So be sure to work at making working at home work for you. Hey, I want to tell you one more thing. You are amazing. The question is, do you know how to share it? I'd love to help. I save my very best tips for my insider subscribers. Subscribe for free at scienceofpeople.com. I know your inbox is sacred, so I promise to send you only emails you will love. I'm like sore from that, like lifting, like, ooh, oh my goodness, I hope y'all enjoyed seeing my tennis shoe. I really wanted to prove it, but now I'm like really sore. So if you like this video, be sure to give it a like because, oh, I'm gonna be sore tomorrow.